What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Speak Up Sports Podcast with Cass, Chris, and Shad. What's going on, fellas?
It's going good. It's going good.
It's been a lot that's gone down since we've last been with everybody. Obviously, the Lakers have been eliminated. Well, a lot of teams have been eliminated, really. The Lakers got eliminated the same night. Clippers officially got eliminated. The Rockets officially got eliminated. Pistons got eliminated. A lot of selling been going on. A lot of been a phenomenal playoffs. A lot of last minute collapses by a lot of teams, and we even got a big, possibly big trade in the NFL. But before we get into that, we can go ahead and get kicked off with the ending of the first round and the beginning of the second round, which is now we've now seen the road team has gotten a win in every single series in the second round, including the Cavs and Celtics being down 0-2 at this point. But getting into the end of the first round, obviously we got the Clippers went to Game 7 with the Nuggets. The Rockets and Warriors went to Game 7. How did you guys feel about the ending of the first round over the past week?
For me,
Pull one out, Chris. Pull one out for Shad's finals pick in the Clippers.
Yeah, that was.
oh my god! But I mean, it was an entertaining first round, I would say. It's tough, I guess, for the Rockets. I mean, you could say they're a young team, but I mean, they were the 2 seed. I mean, to go to get taken to a Game 7, and then losing in that fashion, that's gotta hurt. Obviously, off season is gonna be a whole bunch of trade rumors. Everything's just gonna be going crazy for them. So we'll see how they go. But I mean, I think they have the potential. Just off the strength that they was able to get to the 2 seed, and actually put up a fight. But ultimately, obviously losing in a 7-game series. Clippers and the Nuggets. I just feel for the Clippers. If he getting beat with buzzer beaters, that's tough. That's tough to swallow. Tough pill to swallow. But hey, you can't knock out the champs, man. They are champs. Even though it was 2 years ago. Yeah. They still got Jokic, best player in the league. So I mean, can't be really mad at them. I mean, again, another Game 7 situation. So that was a good series. But overall, I think the first round pretty good. Obviously we're gonna get into a second round even better, clearly for some people. But that was my initial take on the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it was a little disappointing, honestly, from especially the Clippers side of things. Just to how everything unfolded, and I was we were on this podcast last week, kind of talking about James Harden. What is he going to do in these last couple of games to see if he can first extend the series to 7, and then what is he going to do in a Game 7? And of course, he ended up extending the series. In that Game 6, he played wonderfully, both him and Kawhi. And then you get to the Game 7, and the same kind of issues just popped up again, where it's like your aggression it's a whole different game that you're playing. I get he had 13 assists, but like that's not what your team needed you to be at that moment. And you kind of got to recognize that. I mean, it is what it is with James Harden now, 15 years into his career, is playing into all the narrative. That's the disappointing part to me, because like it was always, and Chris, it was always like, oh, wait till we get to Kawhi healthy, wait till we get Kawhi healthy in the playoffs, and then you finally get it. And you're out in the first round. I get it's Game 7. I guess it's against the Nuggets, but still, Norman Powell was playing well all season, and I get that his rhythm got messed up when Kawhi was in and out, came back. He didn't get as many touches, but he didn't show up in this series at all, pretty much. So it's except for like one game in it. So very disappointing ending for the Clippers. For the Rockets, you could say it's disappointing too to have a whole season where you're up. Well, they started out the season a little lower, but they fought up and got to the 2 seed and played a team that honestly they should have beat. I feel like they had a better team than the overall, but Jalen Green, man, you need more from your young I don't want to say stars, but your young stars on the team, you need more from them. I know Amon Thompson had a little bit of a breakout, especially that last game. He had like 25, 26 or something like that. But he got to get a jump shot. He got to get a respectable jump shot. Şengün got to stop playing soft. It's a lot of questions that Houston got to answer in this offseason for sure about how they want to go forward. But it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a lot of disappointment just in terms of players not stepping up to par. And honestly, you know, I don't even think it was a Nuggets thing. I think it's purely James Harden. Like, you know, at this point, it's you know, as you mentioned, it's 15 years running, and it's every year. You know, he wants to say that, you know, I've gotten to the playoffs every year, every year of my career. You know, I am the system, blase, all this extra stuff. And, you know, when you go out and do this consistently, you know, there's people over exaggerate when players, you know, when players lose and they don't step up or they're not closers. 9 times out of 10, let's not say 9 times out of 10. A lot of times it's a lot of over exaggeration.
Yeah.
But with James Harden, it's legitimate, like probably, you know, not enough conversation, not enough criticism specifically about, because I mean, for the things that people were saying, you know, greatest offensive player ever, possibly, you know, better than Dwayne Wade, third best shooting guard ever, blah blah blah. You know, it's just a tough look. And then, you know, Norman Powell, for all the things that you were saying about Paul George, and this is what you do in the playoffs. It's everything. You know, I always say that I've been saying the past few weeks that I hate that we do this when somebody loses, that, you know, where are they going? We need to blow it up. But, you know, the Clippers do have to start having conversations. I know obviously the 2 big stars just signed their contracts, but I mean, you know, that ship's dying. I mean, at this point, this is the best that you could have gotten, and it didn't work out. On the Rockets side, I mean, it's a lot of questions there because it's not as cut and dry, in my opinion, as people want to make it. It's not. They're not a KD away. They're probably a KD makes a team worse away. In reality, no disrespect to Kevin Durant, but, you know, maybe they win the game 7 against the Warriors, who aren't a very good team, and then, you know, they lose in the second round. But that's not what you're hoping for when you get rid of a guy like Jalen Green, who was a top 3 pick. You know, possibly get rid of, you know, some people are suggesting getting rid of Şengün to go get Giannis. You know, there's, you know, different, you know, Reed Shepherd you're getting rid of. You know, that's not a second round exit, is not specifically what you're going for. So I don't, you know, there's a lot of questions there that they've got to figure out. And especially with their offense just in general, because their offense can't just be, if Şengün is, you know, you say what you want about Draymond, but if Draymond is locking up Şengün, like how, I mean, they wasn't locking him up, but, you know, kind of punking him, you know, what are we doing here? You know, when you get Steph Curry and pods in the paint and you're fading away, what are we doing? So, and then if you want another guy that you might have to get rid of is Jabari Smith, or, you know, in a trade to get a Giannis or a Kevin Durant. Jabari Smith, in my opinion, was arguably one of the best players in this playoff series for them. So, like, it's tough. It's a lot more questions, and I think people are trying to pigeonhole it to just a KD. And Giannis might make things look a little different, but that's still extremely rough in terms of shooting.
Yeah.
But especially if you keep Reed Shepherd, that looks a little different. If you keep Reed and Jabari Smith, but we'll see. But but it's also tough for the Pistons, the way that their season ended, and obviously that's kind of propelled the Knicks to where they are at this point. Tough for the Bucks, super tough for the Bucks. I mean, obviously we touched on it before, but the way their season ended, but it's kind of been a theme for the playoffs that it's just, you know, a lot of lack of focus at the end of games.
Yeah,
a lot of letting people come back. I mean, there's been 5 double 20-point comebacks in this playoffs, which is more, I think, than the past like 3 years combined. Like it's a lot of lack of focus. I mean, there's been some conversation, obviously now segueing this into the round 2. The Cavs, obviously, they had the built-in excuse that they've been hurt, whatever. But the Celtics, there's conversations about, is Jason Tatum a closer, blah blah blah. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. If you're gonna say Jaylen Brown is the closer, which has been the conversation the past few years, don't look at Jason Tatum now, in my opinion. But it's been a lot of selling going on. The Thunder, obviously, they obviously should have handled business in game 1 and sold it away as well. They're the only team that that kind of righted the ship in the second game. Yeah. But the Thunder should have won their first game, obviously with Steph popping his hamstring. And he's done for the playoffs probably. They want to try to act like he's coming back, but he's probably done. 37-year-old dude popping a hamstring. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's real.
But yeah, that's kind of been the story of the start of the second round. So how have you guys felt about how things have gone to start the past 4 or 5 days?
Go ahead, Chris. Let's talk about it.
Man, nasty work.
Let's get
by
into
both of the top teams in the East. I'm gonna just talk about my team because you brought up something, Shad. You said 5 times this postseason 20-point leads have been erased. We count for 2 of them, back-to-back games. That is unheard of in my opinion. And the discourse around just Celtic Nation in general, you got one side that says, well, shit, y'all shoot too many threes. That's y'all problem. And the other side says, well, all them threes was fucking open. They just missing. And so I found myself falling like really in the middle because I get what they're saying, but it's times where you brought it up, Shai. I think it was game 1 you brought up. You was like, why are you shooting? Like, it was literally like they were coming down, pulling up. Even they might have been open, wide open, however you want to define it. But it was like you had Cat in foul trouble. They had no center at points in the first game, and you choose to just settle for shots. And it's like, get downhill. You already got you. They don't have a real center, and as you seen the last game when they needed a bucket and they had Mitchell Robinson on there, Jason Tatum blew right past him, score. And a lot of that was the case, and it's just the fact that it's not like the game was back and forth the entire time. Like the Celtics, both games were leading well into the third quarter by 20, and then you go on just these random ass scoring drives, and it's fucking frustrating.
8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Without an actual
bucket. Your first points was 2 free throws in
free throws. Yeah,
in like 2 minutes left in the game. So I mean, in my opinion, how the series is gonna go, either we're gonna get swept or we're gonna win in 6. It's one of the two. Either we're gonna get swept or we're gonna win in 6. And I say that because you can literally see that we're better than them. We're getting up on them like easily. Like it's not even like it's a back and forth nip and tuck game. It don't get like that till the end of the third, fourth quarter, where for whatever reason they decide just to not run a real offense and they're just shooting. Because it's been plenty of times where it seemed like they just patiently waiting for the clock to run down, and you get to 9 seconds on the shot clock, then you want to make a move, and it's like, well, they're going to load up, and you're going to either turn the ball over to Jaylen Brown, or you're just going to miss the shot, and then they off to the races, and they're scoring. So that's my only saving grace as far as us possibly still winning the series, is the fact that I just believe that we're just better than them. It's just we having these crazy-ass lulls in the middle of the game where it's just like you can't buy a fucking bucket. And one of the bigger things that I don't think people have really been talking about is, man, Porzingis been bad since the first series. And, they're, talking about his health or whatever. He had a virus early in the year. And he still apparently don't have his stamina. The last 2 games, he's only played like 13 minutes one game. The other game might have been 15, 18 minutes. So he causes matchup problems that help us out offensively and defensively. And without him, it does seem to become an issue at times. But again, we playing without him and getting up on him 20 points just to relinquish the shit. Some got give. But like I said, either we can get swept or we gonna win in 6.
Either swept or win 4 in a row.
Facts. Huh? But you could speak on the Cavs though, if you want to.
I mean, it's I mean, the first game they kind of slept walk in the game to kind of took them lightly, and then the second half, they kind of not easily, but they walked them down, and then but could never really complete the comeback. But the second game, I mean, it's just in term the urgency in terms of inbounding, and it sucks because the conversation would be a lot different for when stuff like that happens. Obviously, same thing with Jason Tatum. The conversation is a little bit about now how good is he really? How good can he be? Jaylen Brown is kind of skating by on some of this criticism, which is kind of funny.
I mean, he's skating by naturally. How they were talking. The fans, they be roasting his ass with that left. Boy, they be roasting him. But go ahead.
But the conversation with the Cavs is if you inbound the ball, if you get a good inbound and you have some urgency with this inbound, Donovan Mitchell has a 50-point game in the biggest game of his career again, and we're having a conversation about how good of a playoff performer is Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
So like that is also like when you have stuff like that, and now the conversation is about Tyrese Halliburton. So when stuff like that happens, and for all the conversation that Donovan Mitchell has had this year about focus and getting out the second round, I mean, I'm not writing the Cavs off, but with the injuries and given how that second game went, it's just a blow because I mean, with a minute left in the game, you're up 8 points, and that wasn't the last time that you were up at least 7 points, before the end of the game. Then, the offensive foul with Donovan Mitchell on the inbound. Then Tyrese Halliburton, it almost seemed like he missed the free throw on purpose. If you really watch it, again, it almost seemed like he missed the free throw on purpose because he's like, fuck it. We're not going to win this game if we don't, if we can't get it right now. So, and it was also like, damn, at this point, if y'all are gas, foul the man. Like, let it go into overtime as opposed to just letting him game you. So, it's a tough, for, the Cavs have been trying to fight a narrative all season that, at this moment, it's looking like, everybody's trying to say the 2015 Hawks or whatever the case may be, or whatever the Utah Jazz, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. But, it's ultimately tough. And, they've got to figure it out. I don't know if the guys are going to end up coming back or what, but, it's a huge game. If they win that game, we're once again probably having a conversation like, how good could this team be if they just had their 2 to 3 best players missing and their biggest acquisition that kind of had people thinking that maybe this could be possibly a championship team, and they still got to win. How good can this team be if they come back, or how long are you able to let them sit? So it's a lot of questions that a lot of these teams are going to have at the end of the season. It's a lot of questions. A lot of questions. And if not only the 2 teams in the East, but if the Celtics, not the Celtics, but if the Timberwolves, if they sell again tonight, it's another question of like, what is y'all ceiling for real? If we can say whatever. And then once again, we got to go back to the Lakers. What is y'all ceiling for real if y'all lost to this team that lost to this Warriors team? And then, it's a lot of, it's this play. That's what's made this playoff so exciting, because it's a lot of what ifs, and that's kind of playing out to really see. It's going to be a lot of change next season, I think, in my opinion, because a lot of teams are going to start having major questions on what can they or cannot do. And I think the 2 teams in the East, the 2 top teams in the East, are at the forefront. I said, if the Celtics were to lose to the Cavs, they kind of have to start looking at what changes can we make because of this team's getting older. And then obviously Kristaps Porzingis. If they lose in the second round to the Knicks, that conversation gets super accelerated. If the Cavs lose, I think the Cavs should, and not only the Cavs, but the Thunder as well, should be a lot of people are talking about the Rockets. Those should be the teams that people are looking at for Kevin Durant, for Giannis. Obviously the Cavs are going to be a prime LeBron candidate, but they have a lot of major questions because you can't just go into another season with them getting hit with injuries at the worst point in time. You can't go into another season just we're gonna try to see how it goes with
Hope
DeAndre
we're
Hunter for a
healthy.
full season.
Hope
Like
we're healthy. Yeah.
it's just not gonna work out that way.
Yeah.
So it's been a great playoffs though. It's been a great playoffs.
It's been a lot of close games down the stretch, which has been good to see in both rounds so far. Like you said, I mean, I don't count any of your team. I don't count the Cavs out. I don't count Boston out, because at the end of the day, if you turn around and win Game 3, it's a totally different series, just overall. Even if you're on the road, so we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, I'm fully with you on the Timberwolves, man. And Ron just put out a clip from his podcast talking about they ran to a team that was hungry, that was ready to take that next step. And if they go down 2-0 to the Warriors, that don't look good for the Lakers at all. So I mean, that we'll see what the Lakers end up doing this offseason. But I mean, this Denver OKC series, I mean, I'll touch on it a little bit, because that first game, honestly, OKC should have won that, like you mentioned earlier, Shai. But it was one of those things that you wanted to see kind of what the Thunder, how they would play in a close game down the stretch. And that fouling up three stuff, that was the biggest case study of like why not to do it. I know the analytics and everything point to doing it, but it's a way you got to do it, and the Thunder fucked that up completely by fouling within a second on each time they foul. So we'll see if they get faced with a situation like that again. But to come out and and beat the Nuggets by 50 is a statement in the game too. So I mean, I don't know kind of where everybody's head's at. If you're the Nuggets, I get it. Like, you win it, you went on the road, you stole one. Where that's always the goal. You're coming home for Game 3.
Pause. Them niggas, when the Thunder get on a roll, it's like
it's fun. It's that shit dangerous, bro.
You don't
it's
even
like
know what to fucking do.
Like, what do you do?
Because they're all moving. They're all out there moving fast. They can all shoot. They can all create. They can all. It's when they get going. I mean, when they get going, they get going. And like, hey, everybody came in. I mean, first bucket, it seemed like everybody that came in, first shot, 3, boom, every time. Every time, it's like, bro, all right,
that's facts.
I got it.
And it's like they couldn't make any kind of pass without that shit getting just tipped or something. It was, and they were playing physical. They had definitely out physical Denver, and of course, everybody's complaining about the refs and all that. It was Scott Foster, Chris, but
they brought
at the same
him
time
in early, but he did extend it.
Refs be damned. They were gonna. That shit was just gonna be ugly regardless. So we'll see kind of how Denver bounces back at home from it. Could be a thing with that kind of propels the Thunder into saying, all right, we're not playing around with these guys no more. We'll see. It's definitely been an interesting series. I mean, both my picks are still in, so we'll kind of see how it kind of ends up. Chris, I hope the Celtics don't end up selling, but damn, Jalen Brunson down the stretch. I get it, like the offense changes, on the Celtics side, but he's like, Jalen Brunson is literally playing into that award that he won, the clutch award, because he is, and they're quick to give it to him too. Any kind of rebound, any kind of bucket the Celtics get, they like, here, take it. And Jalen Brunson is just controlling the end of that game, and it's like y'all aren't doubling, or and when you do try to double, he's beating it. Yeah, he's attacking it quick. So and it kind of messes up the flow, and he's kicking it out. So
I mean, but that's the thing though, Cass. That's the goal. Don't let it get close at the end. You know what's about to happen. Because throughout the game, he didn't play good last night at all. He didn't.
Exactly.
You can tell. I don't know if you've seen the interview, but he was just like, I don't know how we won that game, but yeah, because he didn't play good at all. And you allowed Mikal Bridges to score 14 in the fourth quarter. He had 0 points the whole game. You let him go crazy in the fourth, brought him close, and then they brought Brunson in, and once that happened, I'm like, here we go.
Just the whole tempo changed, and you could just see it. You see it this live, like he's getting these buckets. It's like, oh shit, I already see how this shit about to go. Like, they're not stopping him, and it's like it didn't matter what happened in the beginning of the game. He's getting the lay, he's getting the step back three. He's shout out to Jalen Brunson so far. Shout out to the Knicks overall, man. I did not see this coming, to be honest with you, but for the playoffs.
That man Cat, I mean, he's got to stop with these fouls. Like,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
got to stop getting.
They say
in
he
foul
lead the
trouble.
league in fouls, bro.
He's got to stop getting in foul trouble. I mean, this has been something that's been plaguing him for years. I mean, similar to Jaren Jackson, it's like, bro, all right, bro, like, you ain't that. Like, you just be solid. Like, you don't need to. All the extra shit that you do, the dumb fouls that you take, like, you don't need to do that because you hurt your team, and it's hard for him to make the impact that because I mean he'll do something and then obviously he'll be out for a long stretch of the game because he's got foul trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it might end up biting him in the butt if he don't get right on that. So he's got to stay out of foul trouble. Obviously, they're trying to they switch so often that sometimes he gets caught on some of these guys, but. End of the day, like, everybody can't be giving you buckets. Like, everybody can't be having you straining so bad that you foul it. So, yeah, I'm dead ass though. Like, everybody can't. But I mean, this is what the Knicks were built for. I mean, at the end of the day, they got the two wings in Anunoby and Mikal Bridges specifically for the Celtics. And I mean, right now they're looking like they made the right the right pick. That doesn't mean that they're gonna make it to the finals, even if they do win this series. We'll see how the Cavs Pacers series, and then whoever wins plays against the Knicks as well. But so far they're looking like they pulled the right strings in terms of their management for what they wanted to combat the Celtics. We'll see how that plays out for the rest of the
I knew
rest
this
of
shit
the
was
series.
gonna happen when all the motherfuckers like they be lucky to win a game. If they go 6 games, hey, that's a win for the Knicks. I'm like, here these niggas go.
I don't want to. I mean,
and then after game one, they said the same shit. I'm not worried about the Celtics.
Like, I get it because the Celtics are good and the Knicks. Then they had beaten the Knicks 4 times this season, but in the playoffs, the Knicks were always going to be tough because there's not any team that you can definitively be like they have a better starting five.
Correct.
Like, the Celtics might be deeper, but if 1-1. I mean, it's about even. If not, especially if we're talking Kristaps is not out. If Kristaps is out, it might start. The edge could slightly go to the Knicks. So it's not like the Knicks are like they've got talent in their starting lineup. And if Miles McBride and is doing what he's supposed to be doing, it looks a little different off their bench as well. So I mean, it's gonna be the Knicks are always gonna be tough because they play physical. They've got a good starting five. It's just about a battle of attrition for them, like how long, and then obviously Cat, if he can stay out of foul trouble and shit. So we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting. I will say it would be interesting and nice to see if the Knicks do end up making it to the finals because not only depending on how everything shakes out. I mean, not only are we talking about the Dallas Mavericks for the Luka shit, but we're really looking at them for Luka and Jalen Brunson.
Tough.
So it starts.
It's real tough. Real tough.
It gets real tough, but switching gears to the NFL, we finally had a trade that dropped that could have happened during the draft, but George Pickens has been traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Dallas Cowboys. That trade hit yesterday. Obviously, there's been some rumors about it for the past couple of weeks. So, how'd you guys feel about that trade going down?
Man, why they got to go to our division? That's how I feel. I mean, it's a good trade for the Cowboys. I mean, they've been longing and dying and crying for a legit second receiver. They saying you only got one receiver, CeeDee Lamb, and he still eat even though he gets double teamed and whatnot. So I mean. Hey, that bolster up their offense. We'll see how Dak come back from his injury. They say he's I guess 100% or whatever. He's gonna be ready for training camp. That's what they say anyway. So, but I mean, only question I would have, which I mean, I'm not into deep with it because it ain't my team like that. But I mean, like he is on his last year. Like what does it look like for them to re-sign him? Like, are they looking to actually re-sign him? You still haven't signed Michael Parsons yet, so I don't know how that's gonna go. You're not signing him before the season. You're not re-signing him before the season starts. So he's clearly gonna be not gonna get a contract to after the year. And if you decide to franchise tag him, they say it's around 28, 27 million. So I don't know if you're gonna do that. That would be my only pause for concern, I guess, in general. Like, what is the end goal for you to give up a third round pick, and which what are you going to do with Pickens? Are you looking to extend him? Are you looking to keep him? Is this something you looking to do for? Or is this just a 1-year rental? And if it's a 1-year rental, like, you have to go get it. You gotta go get it. This is a 1-year rental. So
yeah, how much you think he's worth APY as a wide receiver too? Remember, he's 24 years old, so he's
as
still
a
very, very
wide
young.
receiver too now. I mean, I thought you meant one. One, he got to be up there with the other ones.
Nah, he'll be. I don't think he gets T Higgins money, but I've been shot before. But what do you like? Where do you think is that?
I mean, what he
You think it's
wants.
more?
I mean, he's gonna want that money, so it doesn't.
Yeah,
Where
but
he's
how much
gonna.
would you give him?
I don't know. I gotta see him play, because I can't say I've just watched all his tape. But I mean, he's a good receiver and all. But I mean, I gotta see how he looks with them. Like, what does it look like if he gets like 2 targets and he might swing on that? I'm just talking shit. But what does that look like for him in that offense? That's where I would have to judge it. But I mean, 25,
We'll see.
26.
Yeah, how much Smitty is? Smitty at 25?
He's like 27, I think.
27. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how those negotiations go on. I mean, for me, on paper, it is a good fit. I think they complement each other well, him and CD, as far as their skill sets. I mean, we'll see if Dak, we'll see how Dak does, with the distribution and all that, because and how CD would feel about it, because CD won't be getting those 20 damn targets a game anymore, or in theory. Right. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes out, but I think it's a move that Pittsburgh had to do. Of course, we talked about it in our chat. When he kind of he unfollowed them on Instagram or whatever, and after the rumors got out about them, like, wanting to move on from him. So we knew it was kind of a necessary move for Pittsburgh. A lot of people are calling it addition by subtraction. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far, especially looking at Pittsburgh receiving group, behind DK. So, I mean, they still have some questions to answer. I mean, but there are still some free agents out there that they can sign that can help them at least for a year until they kind of, narrow down and iron out their quarterback situation and what they want to do with their receiver room. I mean, because still, like, people that brought up like Keenan Allen, I don't know how that would look, but people that brought up Amari Cooper, it's still some guys out there, but Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, Tyler Boyd.
They already got wide receiver 2 on the roster, bro.
Who? Maybe Roman. Mm-hmm. We'll see. Hopefully he can stay healthy throughout a training camp. That's what kind of messed him up last year. He got hurt in training camp as a rookie. That's always gonna be tough. Like, always gonna be tough, especially when you were a later round or not a first round pick or whatever. So, I mean, we'll kind of see how he does in Dallas. I don't know necessarily the number. Like, my question that I asked you, I don't know what number I want to put him at.
Devontae Smith at 25. So
yeah, okay. So he'll probably get more than that, but like, I think the big thing for him is that he has going for him. He's the youngest out of all these. Like, he just turned 24, so he's like super freaking young, which goes well in that contract negotiations. Like, how much more can you untap with him? But we'll see if his head on straight. What are your thoughts about it, Shaq?
I mean, I think it was a great trade for Dallas to make, and I think that kind of goes along with kind of a perfect offseason. Well, maybe not perfect, but as close to perfect as you possibly can get for Dallas. And then we'll see how things go with Michael Parsons. George Pickens. I mean, obviously, there's been some things. There's going to be the fighting against, how Pittsburgh Steelers receivers go when they leave Pittsburgh outside of Emmanuel Sanders. But, I mean, he's got the talent to be as good as anybody in the league. So, I mean, finally having a quarterback. I mean, I know that Russell Wilson and Justin Fields was there, but I mean, you know, when
Dak
you
is
on
better
the
than both of them, so yes.
when you on the field, like when you going through training camp,
Yeah.
with who you playing with and how good it is. So you know, maybe things look different when you have a quarterback, and it would have been interesting to see if they do get Aaron Rodgers, how that would have looked as well. But even then, you at least know Dak is the quarterback there for a few years. So if you do, you're not in this kind of quandary where you're always wondering who you're going to play with. Is
Yeah.
this quarterback going to retire? Blah blah blah. Who we drafting? Blah blah blah. So I don't know how things look. I don't. Obviously, we'll probably learn a little bit more about what went down, and some people are saying it's his attitude. We've obviously seen the clips of him not giving his all when he's some routes where he's not getting the ball and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I mean, we also do see the times where he can't be guarded. You need a big play, and he's able to get it for you. We've seen the spectacular catches that he's made as well. So, I mean, it kind of I get it if you don't want to deal with it, and that's not kind of the culture that you want to build, uh, especially as Pittsburgh is in kind of a transitionary period where some of their best players are getting older or are old. If Aaron Rodgers is there, I mean, he's going to be retiring within the next year or two. So, I get it. Not into that next wave. You don't want to pay George Pickens. And that's another thing that you have to factor in. I mean, you know, contract year George Pickens might be a lot different than first couple years where we talk about him having his head on straight. He sees the money that he can make, and he's like, "Well, fuck it, I'm gonna just ball." So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are dismissing the fact that obviously I think CD's great, and I'm not saying that he's anywhere near as good. I'm not saying that he's better than CD or anything. I think people are dismissing just how good he can really be in that offense if he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Like people are just like, oh, he's a solid receiver too. Like, nah, bro. Like it's just somebody this is a serious receiver. That's he's flirting with 1,000 yards with no quarterback. Like he's a serious receiver. That imagine if he does give a little extra effort. Like let's not play them games. He's not just some bum receiver that's just I don't want to name you names because I just said bum, but he's not just some solid receiver that just only getting targets because he was on
That's all they
Pittsburgh.
had. Yeah.
They that's all they had. So
Yeah.
let's not play that game. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Dallas is it's going to be a lot more scrutiny on him, a lot more a lot more eyes on him. So I mean, he's got to whatever the case may be, whatever the issues that it's obviously some type of issues because you're not going to get rid of a 24-year-old receiver just because. So
Yeah.
it's obviously something going on. So whatever that is, hopefully he figures it out because I mean it could be, Dallas has put together a really good off season. And kind of retooled after some of the injuries they had last year and some of the obviously the bad season that they had last year. So it's going to be interesting in that division. So
They stay in that 425 spot, so everybody about to see this shit.
People will be watching for sure. And it does look like Dak is bad. He posted, or it was posted, him working out with CD sometime over the last week or so.
I think they said he was going to be ready for training.
So
training camp. So that's
he's got to stay healthy too because he's getting up there in age, and I mean it's been it's a couple injuries now in the past 4 or 5 seasons or so. So he's got to stay healthy as well. But I mean they're primed to make a return. I don't know if I'm not going to say that they're going to be a Super Bowl team because it's still Dak Prescott, no disrespect, but they can make a run at the division again, depending on how things shake out. And, obviously it's one thing to say now, and then when in training camp, first week, 2 people go down. It's like, all right.
Yeah. Fact. That's big facts though.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we'll see as we get deeper and deeper into the summer, but that gives us a wrap for another episode of the Speak Up Sports Podcast. We will by next week, we could have both the top 2 teams in the East out. So we will see how things shake out in the NBA playoffs, and we'll catch you then.
Yes, sir. Good luck.